today to talk a little bit about hips and how they are supposed to move, and some of the what should we call them, prerequisites you need to be able to properly move through the hips, and some of the ways you can train yourself to move better through the hips. So this will be sort of a platform for you, so you can start trying to move better through the hips. Bear in mind, I will not move perfectly through the hips in any way, shape or form, but I will try to show you what you're going to reach for. Most people, when we talk about hips, tend to think in one way or another way. Either they think, for instance, about flexibility in the hips, or they might think about strength in the hips, or a plethora of other ways of thinking about hip joint and anything like that in general. The main challenge for us when we want to move properly through the hips is that the hip joint, as the biggest, strongest joint we have, needs all other muscles in the body to move very well in order to function properly. Now you can liken this to any implement where you need to apply power. The weakest link will break if you apply enough power, and the hip joints, if you're strong enough, are able to break any other link in this chain. Now, we need flexibility through the hips. That is one of the things we need. Remember that flexibility in itself will help you just a little bit. Flexibility is sort of, better flexibility takes away some of your brakes, but you also need an engine, and the engine is the most important part. Most of us, me, you, and all our students, most of them need a bigger engine. Some of them just have some inhibition in moving, and for them flexibility is the main part. But for most of us, the engine is what we're really lacking. I'm going to try now to show what the engine of the hips is. I'm going to try and stand up here and show you that the muscles on the back side of the thigh and my ass are the muscles that will run any movement. As you can see, it's possible to stand in the stirrups, not touching anything, with these muscles. It is very easy to think of these muscles, and most of us will use those the most. That doesn't mean they're the strongest. It just means that they are the first muscles you will use. So when I sit down and try to get up, the tendency in my body, and I bet you in many of your bodies too, is that we first tense these. And that makes the foot move forward, you see? And it also makes the heel come down, as you can see. And everybody knows that it's a good thing when your heels come down when riding. But beware, not necessarily only good. And sometimes maybe not even good. Who knows? We know some of it, and we will show you some of it. Now, I need this to happen. I need my feet to stay in the same position. You can see that even my knee moves when I rise and when I get back. And that is, I do not want this to be the link or the joint that everything moves around. So if I squeeze my knees in, I can move everything around the knee joint. And then I can't rise up very well, and you can see that my ass points backwards and it's going to block this hair thing. And this doesn't look good for us, does it? So I want to do this. Sit down forward in the saddle, rise up, sit down forward in the saddle, and it's a very tight thing here in front, especially for us men, but I have heard that it's difficult for women too. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to walk this guy. He's got a big long stride, and it's going to show, hopefully, very well what happens in this here joint. Remember, this is the hip joint. It is not above your pelvis, it is there, down there, where the thigh comes into the hip. This is the joint. And it can move in all sorts of directions, yes? So now, we're going to walk off. You ready, boy? Go. I'll try to keep my legs back and on the horse. I have to think legs back. That is because my quads, all the muscles on the front of the thigh, want to do the job. They want to be there first and do the main part of the work. Now I always think legs back. I try to keep my calf on the horse, as you can see back here. I try to keep these moving. These are working all the time. These are working all the time. Trying to squeeze, always. It is very easy to think that you make the work easier for the horse if you just relax. That is partly true, because if you're very tense, the horse will have a difficult time moving. However, if you're able to move the same way as the horse moves, good watch. If you can move your hips to allow for the movement of the back of the horse, our training shows that you're able to make the job even easier for the horse when it comes to moving in the correct way or a positive way than if you just relax. I must take care of moving my own body weight, and as I'm a heavy guy, it's of course more important, but for everyone it is important. I move my body weight, the horse moves his body weight. I have to move it around always to make sure that at some point during every stride, my legs carry the weight, my feet the stirrup, and at some point during the same stride, my seat bones carry the weight. That way I can move my weight around to where it's most beneficial for the horse to have my weight. If you hate us or love us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.